I think this is why I make sculpture. For me, it's the best way of getting a kind of multiple of experiences, whether that's the sensation of touch or of looking or of slowing down or considering. They're so complicated in the fact that they're not flat. Always a picture of the royal family on the front cover.
So you were Anthony Caro's studio assistant for
Yes.
how long?
When he was alive for 3 years, and then he died, and I kept working in the studio for a while longer in the office. I was printing lots of things off and then shredding a lot of paper, and all of this accumulation of paper I would see. And I remember thinking, I've got to find a way of using this. That was my material, it was effectively free. So then I started using it with water and making this pulp. I'm going to decant some of this water. Okay, I'm going to add the paint now, which will be good to see. I collect these household paints from hardware shops, and they're normally, I suppose, either they've been mixed wrong, so they're not a viable color, which I find really fascinating. I enjoy bright colors. I mean, I'm in here all day. I've got to enjoy what I'm making, right? And looking at.
Yeah.
And there's something much more pleasing about working with colors which jar or interfere with each other, or thinking about how all these different colors might relate to each other. I think I'm going to be using this guy on this piece later, so I might keep him out, mix it up a bit. Bit of scraping. What a time to get an itchy nose. It's actually more recently that I realized that thin steel was much easier to work with. You don't need the same kind of tools and machinery. You can bend it yourself without heat. So most of my bending happens in this small vise. The sparks are likely to go that way, but it will be quite close to your camera. Yeah? It's very practical now for the way I work, and it keeps up the paper form, which is really exciting. Quite a lot of these pieces, particularly the bigger ones, it would be too heavy to use plaster, so I'm actually applying it to paper mache, which is much harder, and I have to be much more kind of considered with the application, because otherwise it gets really wet and it's in danger of just flopping off. That's the thing that also excites me about this material, is the fact that the color is in the material when it's applied. It's not just a surface application, it's inherent to the way it is. I like it when the colors like interfere like that. It's also, when these dry, they'll be completely different. The terracotta-y color always comes out much brighter than when it's applied. And I think the blue will probably dull down a little bit. People ask me all the time, how do you know if something's finished? I find that quite difficult to answer, because sometimes you think you've worked it enough. For me, sculptures are at a really exciting point where I think, I don't know how else I can push this.
Yeah.
Or it's sort of reached a point of exhaustion for me where, you know, I could hack that bit up and start again, but I'm not sure it's necessary. It's an instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.